So yet again we have another dim bulb testing of an unknown history amp. This was a friend of a friend, so I don't know anything about the history. It's a Graetz or Graetz, however you pronounce that, a German Commedia, however you pronounce that, model. So I'll have to have a look on the internet to get some info on it. Again, it's not in great shape in the back as far as, it's a lot better than the other ones as far as spiders and stuff go. So it is the correct, if it's a Graetz on the front, presumably it's the correct back panel. So all this in German, and we do have a 240 volt winding seemingly, so let's just get this off. If it's not, oh no, it's not going to come, it's going to be unscrewed no doubt. Look at it, or has it? Yeah, got to unscrew that, so let's pause for a second. So yet again, the bane of my life with these damn spiders that get in everywhere and make a mess. So I'll have to hoover this out. This is odd, it's got a valve down here, embedded into the actual cardboard that the speaker's mounted on. It's a bit of a strange arrangement, never seen that in any kind of amp. And just as a usual warning to people, this is what you can come across again. So there's the old mains lead, literally taped up to the white end, another old crappy bit that's just got two wires and no plug. So I'll have to put, to do the dim bulb testing, I'll just use this bit, I'll strip it back and put another plug on it, and then we'll dim bulb test this one and see what happens. So anyway, it looks like it's got a full complement of valves. There's 1, 2, 3, that's 4, 5 that I can see. Not quite sure what that is down there at the bottom. And just double check, yeah, the selector is set to 240 volts. So that should be okay, despite being German. Obviously they have 240 volt electricity as well on the continent. So let's get a plug on the end of this and we shall do the dim bulb testing and see what happens. Right, let's just have to cut the cable back, stripped it, and let's see what the B-side LCR tester makes of the primary of the mains transformer. See if anything's there and if it's in what shape. Well, it's looking pretty good. It's got 55.8 ohms and a nice inductance of 92.9 millihenries. So that's looking pretty good. So I'll put a plug on it and set up the dim bulb tester. Okay, so it's good again. We've got a, I know you can't see it on the camera, but we've got a little valve layout here. So starting, there's 6 valves altogether. There's this one here in this can. That is an EF89 by the look of it. No, that's the EC92, because there's one just here. I don't know if you can see where I'm pointing just there. There's a little one down the back, so that's the EF89. Then this one, encased in the shield, is an EC92, and then going down to this one we have an EF89, and across to this one we've got an EABC80, which it looks like it is. This one we've got an EL41, so that's presumably the power output stage, and right at the back this one, no, so that one's probably the power. I'll have to have a look, check where the wires are going. And then that one at the back is an EM80, which indeed is what's written on it. So again, that's nice of these companies to do that, which we certainly don't get that kind of thing happening now. So let's get the back on and keep these keep the spiders in, dust and everything in, and I'll get it set up and ready to go. It's got a little pocket here, so that looks like it may well have contained documentation for the unit, possibly. Just in case I missed that on the video, hitting the pause button and it didn't work properly. I'm going to just check with the plug attached that I've still got continuity and as you can see on the meter, I'm reading 57.1 ohms across the mains primary. So we have connection across the plug, so it should be fine, and that's as far as I'm going to test or do before plugging it in with the first 25 watt bulb into the dim bulb tester. So there's the dim bulb working, and we're nearly ready to go on the first bulb. Right, there is no separate on switch for this, so as soon as I hit the dim bulb tester, then the power should be going to the unit. Just having a look at some of these controls, obviously, maybe, you know, this would be interesting for a collector, possibly, with everything being in German. Ferritanten, and the various buttons, Mittellang, etc. Sprach, speak, aus, out. And it says here we've got UKW canal, which presumably is that button. And then we have these individual sliders here, which, if I just pull that this way a little bit, when you turn this control, the inner one, where is it? Oh, it doesn't want to work now. Oh no, it's that one. Yeah, that one. So when you move this, you can see the bass up and down little slider kind of display there on that one. So, a little bit nice and odd. So, here we go on the first bulb. 25 watt bulb. Let's watch for the flash and see if it stays on and maybe if there's a problem. And of course, any smoke or fires. So, there's the initial flash. I don't know if you saw that dim down, but it's certainly still dimming now. I can now see from the initial brightness, it's down to me being able to see the filament inside of that frosted pearl covering on the bulb. What's interesting about this, that valve that we saw on the inside earlier, that here is obviously a visual indicator. And what's interesting about that is that's the actual outside of the glass that you're touching on the tube. Right, I heard a crackle there. And there's the tuning needle, which you can just probably, I don't know if you can see in this light, you can just see it passing. And that's perfectly smooth enough for an old radio. So I don't know what the story was with this thing. Obviously someone had taken the plug off, so presumably maybe there was a reason for that, or maybe they just stole the plug, who knows. So with a bit of a clean up, so what I'm going to do, again, the same principle of the dim bulb, I'm just going to go and have a cup of tea and leave this on the 25 watt dim bulb and give the capacitors, if this hasn't been used in a long period of time, at the lowest level of voltage being fed to the unit, I'm going to give this you know, time enough, 10 minutes for a cup of tea, just to slowly sit here and cook for a while and let those caps, you know, reform to a bit of a degree before moving up to the next 40 watt bulb in a minute. It's just while I'm waiting for the caps to reform a little bit, just to give it some time, I thought I'd just give it a bit of a wipe down with some wet wipes, because I hate handling stuff from, you know, that could have been out of someone's loft or barn or whatever. It's just horrible. So I like to give everything just a, you know, a bit of a clean where I'm going to be touching. And given this dialer, it's got some, you know, just sticky kind of goo on the cover on the front here, and just give her a bit of a tidy, because this will probably be going straight onto eBay if it's going to be a worker. I said I don't collect them or anything, so but this one, again, just by sheer chance it came my way. It's often the way, you know, I mean, I haven't had much to do for a long time, and then in the last 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, I've had 3 radios come my way just by sheer chance, a bit like buses, you know. You wait for ages and then 3 come along at once, and it's that kind of thing. So, you know, I probably won't have any more for ages now. I mean, not that I think we're going to be, after this, we'll have exhausted the usage possibilities of the dim bulb tester, that's for sure, and I'm quite keen to move on to other things. But obviously, while it's valid and it's all happening, then I may as well document it. And for people who have watched the other videos and have taken it upon themselves just to build one, a dim bulb tester for this kind of thing, maybe if they're new to electronics and just, you know, really appreciate the benefits of testing equipment in a much safer manner, and to give any piece of equipment that's you know, in a halfway decent state that extra fighting chance to actually fully recover, you know, even just however long temporarily before somebody can get around to actually you know, recapping it, putting new filter capacitors in and getting rid of any other nasties that are in there, like those wax capacitors and any other electrolytics that have been there since day one, or, you know, depending on the age. Well, anything got past 20 years really should be recapped, probably. But certainly the valve stuff, obviously, because they're at such high voltage that you know, the capacitors are going to be, even if they're designed for it, it's still a lot of electrical stress on very old components. So it's best to get them changed out as soon as you can and not risk any future damage by turning it on one day and having them fail on you, and possibly, you know, taking out a transformer or doing other damage that was unnecessary if they'd have been changed in time. Right, that had about 10 minutes or so on the 25 watt bulb, and now I've got the 40 in down here, so watch for the flash. And now it's dimming down again. This one's a bit more difficult to see through the pearl coating on that bulb to be able to see the filaments, but so again, I'm going to leave that for 5 minutes or so and move up to the 60. I've just turned the main light off here so that I can see which bulb, if any, gives enough to actually light up this indicator tube that's here, if it actually works at all. So anyway, the 60 is in place, so again, here we go. So yep, initial flash, and now dimming down just to see the filament. So again, I'll leave that for a few minutes and then move up to the 100 watt. Right, I've just found that this far button on the far left that says aus, or out in German as far as I know, but it also must mean off because this is the off button. So you can see there she's switched off the bulb. Clicking a few of these buttons there when it was under power, it did get a bit of a crackle through the speaker, so with a bit of luck that means that the output stage is functioning okay. So I shall move up to the 100 watt bulb and we'll see what happens, see if we can get any more sound out of this, or whether it's actually able to pick anything up, because obviously it does have a little aerial inside here. So we'll see what happens. Right, the 100 watt bulb's in, so using its own on switch here. The 100 watt bulb, isn't it? It doesn't light up necessarily because the power is now getting, you know, quite high. We just start to see, so there's no initial flash or big current draw, but now the filament is actually starting to draw a little bit of current for itself. So we should have a reasonably high voltage, as we know from the previous tests. Probably anywhere, who knows, 160 volts RMS or more possibly, actually feeding the unit. And now I can actually hear, I don't know if you can hear the hiss and a bit of hum. Oh wow, yeah, that's loud enough. So the buttons obviously you'll need a clean. Still unfortunately no light on this indicator, so that valve may not be working. I'd have thought there would have been some light out of that on the 100 watt bulb if that was working at all. So possibly that's one dead valve there, and of course a few of the others may not be functional either, which is why we're, apart from the audio output, obviously that works. Let's turn that down a bit. So yeah, who knows, without checking the valves now, it's not going to be possible to find out whether or not this thing does actually tune into anything. So as far as my interest goes with this and valve amps, well, the valve radios in general really, I won't be doing any more to it or trying to source valves for it. It'll just be sold as is with the full valve complement, so people know which ones to get, and even, you know, they've got the diagram. So this will be put on eBay as well as overall functioning but a spare or repair unit. So we'll get it up to the 150 watt bulb now and call it a day. Right, here's the 150 watt bulb. Obviously we don't expect a flash, and get it, see what happens. So as this warms up now, we should start to see, maybe start to see a little bit of filament glow in the 150 watt bulb. I'm seeing a bit of light on the this panel valve. But is that reflection? No, there is a little bit of light, I'm sure. Maybe, or maybe not. It's difficult to tell. Yeah, I'm reasonably sure I can see filaments at least in this panel valve. So, but whether it's working fully or not, I don't know. So, bit of hiss there. And yes, that's loud. So, but yeah, I'd say probably some of the radio frequency valves aren't working properly to not be able to hear any more than. But yeah, I'd say she's a worker. If someone wants to, if someone is a renovator of valve radios, then this one may be them. I'll try and get some documentation on it, just so that I know a bit more about it, and have a look at the circuit diagram out of interest. And basically, I'll put those actually into this video, and leave it at that. So it looks like it's a worker. The next step now, I'm just going to shut it down and then put it straight into the mains for one last go, and make sure, and just see if it can handle mains voltage. I've got it plugged into the mains, so I'm just going to fire it up at mains voltage now, and go from there. So it's on full, and it's handling the voltage okay so far. You can hear the mains hum now, and obviously the crackle. So whatever else is wrong with this thing, whether it's valves that are not functioning in the radio or IF sections, etc., to not pick up anything, but it does have mains buzz, so that looks like it's a reasonable indication that at least the output stage is probably working. So if someone wants to play with it and restore it, then well, that's the closest to some sort of tuning noise. Oh God, lordy, that's terrible. So whatever band that is, yeah, so whether it's just that it would need to be plugged into a bigger aerial, you know, an outdoor aerial or something, and give it a chance to pick something up, or whether there is a fault with some of the valves in the IF or RF amplification tubes, or maybe an earth issue there, grounding. So anyway, it can handle 240 volts, so that's it, I'm done with that one.